Hello, and you join me in kind of the rush hour before we have potentially a storm of rain. I'm hoping to get a few things done today. Now, we've got to the stage now with Ruby where we've taken, I would say, 80 to 90% off that I want off. I've still got to look at the window regulator. I haven't forgotten about that. But in the engine bay, as far as I'm concerned, we're down to everything that needs to come off, apart from all the timing belt gizmos, the timing belt, the tensioner, the water pump, the lower cover, the crankshaft bolt, that sort of thing. But all that's got to come off when I lower the engine. I've got to obviously take the engine off this mounting here. And to do that, I've got to support the engine. But there's one problem with that, and this is why I've got to do what I've got to do today. I've got to put the cross member back in with the mountings, because the gearbox is now only supported by the jack. It's not supported by anything else. Well, it's more or less the actual jack is on sort of the sump area. So that's not kind of ideal. So there's no way of physically, literally, if I disconnect that mounting, the whole thing is only connected to the car via the drive shafts. So that's not ideal. So I need to put the cross member back in. The fluid can still keep dripping. It's been dripping for a couple of weeks now. But what I'll do, I'll just put the cross member back in with its mountings and have the drain plug out. I've got to put the drain pan back on, obviously, and the filter. And we're just going to do a bit of just a clean underneath, just to make sure that everything's clean, especially in the drain pan of the gearbox. And we're just going to let it drain through the drain plug as usual. But I'll just put a piece of cardboard underneath, because we have some very, very nice things. We have a gearbox filter, very nice and clean, all been cleaned out, good, ready to go. The bolts, a dipstick to obviously stop dirt getting in, because we're going to obviously literally seal the gearbox back up now. We have a painted front mounting, and we have a very nicely painted and stone chipped cross member. Do you remember how bad this looked before? I've done a pretty good job with that. There's some areas that I've missed, but truth be told, there's going to be some areas that will come off. That's brilliant. I'm now going to mount this to the car before it starts raining. Let's get cracking. Right, first thing, God, this thing has still been dripping. I only put these two bolts back in loosely, and it's dripping from the drain plug because I didn't put that back in properly. I hope that's not going to be a thing. Grief. Still getting leaking fluid. So I'll just take this bolt out. I just want to give the drain pan a last clean, and I just give the valve block a bit of a clean, because I have been wire brushing around. I do not want any contaminants left anywhere near the valve block, so we'll just clean it out for sure. Probably use some contact cleaner. And then we can be done. This sump pan has actually cleaned up decently compared to what it looked like before. Right, here we go. I'll just tip it away. Oh God, well, that's quite a bit of fluid, that is. Look at that. Oh my God, that is what it's been dripping the last week. Get some tissue just to clean it up. It looks really clean in here, I have to say. I'm really impressed by this. Right, let's give this a bit of a clean, shall we? Just a final bit of cleaning. There we go. Lovely. Just let that drip now. I mean, the colour of this fluid it's not bad, you know. For 50,000 miles, it's not bad. In fact, I would say this is extremely similar to the sort of condition that Beatrix's fluid was in. And Beatrix had done 50,000 miles. So roughly around the same sort of mileage, really. Very roughly as well. Coincidentally, it's two cars I've bought with extremely similar mileage. Just a bit of a contact clean, and obviously that's the magnet. Obviously on Beatrix, the magnets around here, there's a sort of circular piece of metal, but there isn't on this. They're just stuck that sort of magnet down. Obviously this cork gasket, I've got to say, I think the rubber gaskets are better. Because the gasket is actually the same, I may just utilise, well, the thing is, I would have done it by now. This would have been the opportunity to do it. But you can, if there is leaks in the future and it's caused by this cork gasket, which I know then they're not great because they go a bit flat, I will replace this with a second-hand rubber one that would have been fitted to the MG Rover CVTs because it's the same shape. And it will be ideal. Right, okay. Honestly, I've done so many of these. They'll start calling me the CVT man. I've already had somebody ask if I can service their MGF steppy. Yeah, absolutely fine, no problem. I'll sort that out. You know, I'll do the same procedure. At least I'm not having to take any cross member off. At least I hope not on the MGF. But certainly on Rover 25s and 45s, you don't have to take anything off. It's just here. You just take the pan off. So it's really, there's no excuse. But with the Fiesta, I can understand why people were put off. Because you would have to support the engine, and as soon as you talk about supporting the engine, that puts most DIYers off. It's intimidating, but as long as you follow the line of, look, it's well supported and it won't fall down on the floor, put an axle stand underneath, give yourself some security, that's it. Now, you've watched me do that, okay? I am happy with everything in here. This pan is going to go back up. We've got to put this filter back on. So, as you can see, this is the parts number. I'll show you again. Try and find that parts number online. You will find them, but they're expensive. I've just put some silicone on that and just pop that back in over here. Okay. Oh, well, it would help if I actually took the screw out. Yeah, something on the Rover CVTs that they don't have. They don't have a screw to hold it in. I'm gonna pop that back in. It might be a bit forceful. There we go. Done. Okay, lovely. Now put that bolt back in. Trying to line it through. There we go. Just gonna get it square. Lovely. Right, I've got my my cheat ratchet. Wait, if it's gone the wrong way, Andrew, you can do this manually if you're afraid of over tightening it. Yep, that's fine. That feels tight. Good, good, good. Now, the rule of thumb with all these bolts, I would say about 10 Newton meters. There's no torque setting for the MG Rover vehicles as far as I'm aware. And for this, I can't find any either. And believe it or not, on the CVT manual, I can't find any information there. Oh, I think it might have been something to 6 to 10, but it wouldn't have been transmission, some bolts. But anyway, clean as a whisper. It's a shame that the outside could not be polished up as well as the inside, but the truth is they do get rather tarnished. Bye-bye. Just line up the first couple of bolts. I can't stand this bit. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Go, 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 go. Just to hold it on. And then put one in the far corner, which would help. Lovely. Lovely. Right, guys, I'm just going to put the rest of these bolts back in. I'm just going to tighten them up roughly with the electric ratchet, okay? But then after that, I might go in with my small torque wrench, but we'll see how I feel. I will leave this drain plug undone when I've put the cross member on. Just wipe all the excess off. Fantastic. Right, and the bracket has to go on now. Okay, so we just put it round the corner here. Obviously get it the right way, Andrew. There we go, and we've got the 3 bolts. So we've got some 3 17mm bolts. Just pop this on. Remember to put this on after the gearbox pan and not before, because you'll be taking it off again. Oh, I can feel a few spits of rain. Typical. Just as I'm halfway through it. I'm very conscious about the light situation, guys, so my episodes might be shorter. It is more of a diary slash journal, but I don't apologise for that. There is a torque setting for this, but I'm just going to buzz these up because I'm not taking any prisoners now. So come on. Okay, good. Next one. Good. And the last one. Whoop, can't even get to that one. Okay, that's tight. Okay, I will double check this later on, but that is all in. Right, take this bolt out. Well, the nut and the washer, and take these 2 bolts out because we're now going to put the cross member on. Oh dear mate, the dreaded rain is here. Right, so there's no way about this. What you've got to do is you've got to try and aim this cross member so that it hooks onto here. Okay, we just got to hook it on there to get the bolts in. Now, this might be a bit of a faff, but we'll eventually get it into its normal position. Right, there we go, first one in. Okay, now we've got to get these 2 bolts in best as we can. These conical bolts, come on. Okay, I think I've got the other one here. This is quite difficult with one person, I can assure you. Oh dear. Right. What I'm going to do is just loosen that a bit because we need it a bit looser for the back side. Right, what I've done is I've tightened everything up at the front a little bit more. I've raised the jack to make sure that this butts up against the body, because what was happening is that this side, I literally could not thread the bolt in because this was so far away from the body, it was untrue. I've had to shift it just a little bit to the left, but I think I can just about get these bolts in now. Yes. Yes, just about a bit of force. It does take a bit of shifting. I would suggest that you support this on the other side with like a little jack stand. I mean, I've just used an axle stand to do this. But now we're going to see if these bolts will play ball. Yeah, they will. I'll tell you what, I couldn't imagine doing this by hand without this gun. Right. Okay, what we're going to do, I'm going to go around and tighten everything up with a torque wrench. Okay. Well, what we've got to do before then is we've got to lower it down on the jack. Everything is actually tightened using the gun. But now, come on. Ah, there we go, all secure. You are free, my friend. Woo-hoo-hoo. I love that bit where you're not free because you got to do that side now. Although I might use the big boy for doing that. We'll have a think about that. Torque settings. Usually all the bolts are around 64 newton meters. That's what I was told, because this is supposedly what they call a transmission bearer. Okay, that's a bit weird. Right, okay, torque wrench out then. That's the first one. Oh, I think we've already done it. I'll check the back side and this, and that's done. Well, apart from this, let's just take this drain plug out so we can continue draining auto fluid. And actually, I thought it was going to go onto the rail. It isn't. It was actually designed so that you can drain the fluid without it going into this lovely, nice painted cross member. Now, don't you not think that looks really, really tidy now? I love it. It's all covered in grease. You couldn't see what was what before. Yeah, I'll keep that. I might replace the washer on it. Maybe. It really is important that you make sure that the weight is on that mounting when you torque those bolts. Those bolts are supposed to be torqued up with the weight of the engine and that gearbox. If I was to torque them up and then lower the jack to load the weight on those bolts, that is not correct. You do not do it that way. There is such a thing as preloading, but that's only for bearings. This, it has to be done with the weight on the floor. It's as simple as that. Anyway, there's one little thing I'm going to do, since it seems to be a bit intermittent. We're expecting rain any second now. Big rain, not spits. And that is the heater fan. We've got a new one that I bought for 10 quid. Is it any good? Oh yeah, here it is, all readily assembled again with a replacement heater motor. And guess what? I'll just spin it. Nothing, absolutely no play in that whatsoever. This heater, I think it's come out of a 1.8 diesel Mark III, and they're very rare these days. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that heater. So we can definitely place it back over here. Take these two bolts back out, and we can put the scuttle back together in very, very good time. Shift it over there. Lovely. Love how things shoot back together. Apparently this fan is tested. I'm going to take a big gamble because I'm not testing it at the moment. I haven't got a way of testing it thoroughly at the moment. So I'll just put it back in, and fingers crossed that it does work, but based on the bearing, I think it will. Anyway, let's tighten them bolts up. Right, that's now back in. Just cleaned up the dipstick. Go away. There we go. Dipstick back in. Lovely, that's sealed up. Just before I forget, and obviously we've got this brown wire that goes to the heater resistor. That's nicely on, and then we've got this plug that goes over the top. Let me remind me which way. There we go. So there we go. That's nicely on. I think it just goes in there. Well, we've got to put this wire. This wire goes in here. It will go in. There we go. And then we just put this wire nicely into this clip. There we go. That's nice and secure now. I'm happy with that. And these wires just go through a gap in the actual scuttle. I don't know what this cable is doing, but it's going to come out because I'm sick and tired of cables going everywhere. We are going to sort of start sorting more of this out as we go further down the line. I've just moved all this wiring to do the cleaning process, really, but don't need to do this anymore. And all this can actually go back to its sort of proper place as such, because I've actually done an awful lot of cleaning. The only thing I've got to do, I've actually missed a few places. I'm going to go back up there and sort the that battery tray is disgusting at the bottom. And that chassis rail, how the hell have I missed that? So these are the only two areas that I can identify that I haven't cleaned as well as I would normally. But it's all going to start going back in, hopefully, as good as it can be. I've got all my videos to refer to if I ever get stuck. And I will probably have a situation where I think, oh, what's that for? And that's why my videos are a bit more of a journal blog. If you're not used to this style, it's not like the typical YouTuber, oh, I'll show you how to do this, or I do this today. It's a bit more diary extract. It's more of a diary journal to help myself and just to keep it interesting, something a little bit different from what other YouTubers offer. I will be having a bit of a clean out of just some of the oil in the corners around here, but the truth be told, I'm going to get the tool, and I already have the valve stem seals. I've bought the modified top hat valve stem seals, and they are much more better than the standard ones, and they're very cheap. These ones are about £8, so you know, quite cheap for what they are. Just replacing them is going to be the nail biting exercise, dealing with these freaking springs. I'm going to give these a bit of a clean. I've got a new mechanical pump, believe it or not. And in fact, I'm going to take you inside and show you some of the new parts we've had. Like I say, I'm not going to put the scut on today. I am going to remove that though, because I don't need that there. Brilliant. Right, let's get inside. I've been in a mechanic's garage half of my flat at the moment. All this stuff down here. I've got tools lying around down here. I don't want... What's that doing there? I don't know what that's doing there. But everything's been cleaned. Everything has been cleaned in here. We've given the starter motor a bit of a paint. Now we know that works. Distributor, carburetor has been rebuilt. Alternator's had a bit of a spray, but it's all ready. The heat shield has been sprayed. I didn't intend to, but I did. The CVH rocker cover with the gasket that I've bought. Yeah, that's looking a million miles better than what it did before. Not exactly pristine finish, I can tell you that. What else have we got here? Well, we've got all the bits and pieces. We've got an oil filter there. Yeah, we've got quite a few bits and pieces to be going on with. Got the Unipart fuel pump. Believe it or not, I bought this for about 12 quid online. Look at that. Brand new old stock. Hopefully it works a treat, and that's the correct parts number. We've got some valve stem seals. There we go. The modified top hat stem seal. So that's the seal there. And obviously this is just the surround that, hence why they call it the top hat. We've got some brake pad springs. We have a timing belt kit. Now, SKF are quite well known for timing belts, and for the price of £32, I wasn't going to ignore this. I did a bit of research online, but yeah, tensioner. That is a manual tensioner. You need to adjust it yourself to get 90-degree turn of a belt, basically. So all that's there. We have we got a painted fan shroud. I wasn't going to paint this, but I thought, why not, since we're on a roll, including a new motor, the motor's been painted. Comline brake discs. I really value Comline. They're aftermarket, but you know what you get? And for two of them for £17.50. What? In fact, most manufacturers were selling Comline brake discs for what parts number was it? That's the parts number, ADC 1203. They're very small brake discs, but usually they're about £30. But this seller was selling it for £17.50. He bought it for his Fiesta and didn't want it. Fair enough. The under tray's having a couple of coats. I haven't really done it much on that side, but a couple of stone chip, bits of stone chip on that side. All the arch liners have been cleaned. As you can see, I've been very busy, guys, in here. And I think this is where I've been most busiest. You know, it's all good doing the videos outside, but the truth is, what I do in here will make my life so much more easier. The only thing that I'm going to complain about now is the spring for the thermostat. Now, I've put a brand new thermostat in there, okay? I know what you're going to say about the gasket. I'm going to put some Hylamar around this beading edge just to give it a bit of a sealing property. But basically, this thermostat, you can't get it to go in. I have sanded and sanded this bore so much. No wonder the previous guy struggled to get the spring in. Oh, he got the spring in, but the seal started popping out. There's no way you could push it down far enough, because if I do that, the seal starts going basically cockeyed. I can't get the spring in now because it's not quite down as much. I'm a bit concerned by that, but the truth is, do you know what? I've got the spring, but I'm actually not going to fit the spring. I'm going to see what it's like in there. There is a possibility that the thermostat could sort of move off and go into the cylinder block and just sit there on the edge of the cylinder block. I'm going to see how that works. If I have a problem, then I'll take it off. But I've got a feeling that is well seated in there. That's not going to be dislodged by hot water or expansion. I can't see that dislodging. I really can't. That spring is a pain in the ass. You either fit that thermostat with the spring and have the seal not sealing properly, or you fit it like that without the spring, have the seal sitting perfectly, and cross your fingers that the thermostat doesn't dislodge itself. I prefer the second option. I think it's a shocking design. I mean, the only way of going about it is by actually shaving the inside of the bore. I mean, literally, not with sandpaper. I mean, you've got to cut a new slice of metal to fit that thermostat properly and the spring. The only way that would have been fitted originally was on very nice new clean metal. And I'll tell you what, they must have used some special tool to get that spring in. Absolute faff. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you here with all of this. You take care. I shall see you probably to put the scuttle back on. Yes.